Hi, I'm Charles, and you're watching The State of the Republic. In recent news, Senate Republicans have decided to continue their efforts to repeal Obamacare, or as it's better known on their side of the aisle, that evil Kenyan socialist, Marxist, atheist, gun grabbers attempt to kill us patriotic, red-blooded Americans and steal our precious bodily fluids by giving us health care. The Senate parliamentarian has ruled that several provisions within the bill are ineligible for reconciliation under the Byrd Rule. The provisions that have been ruled ineligible include the one-year defunding of Planned Parenthood, the restrictions on using federal subsidies to purchase coverage that includes abortion, the 6-month lockout proposal, and the New York Medicaid provision that was inserted to ensure the support of New York House Republicans. Those provisions will have to be voted on in the normal way with a 60-vote threshold for cloture, which means that they will be unlikely to succeed given the Republican slim majority. On the White House front, Trump has been trying to fire Attorney General Jefferson Beauregard Sessions III. It has been suspected that the White House may have been responsible for the leak in the Washington Post about Sessions talking about campaign matters with Russian Ambassador Sergei Kislyak. With Sessions being pushed out, there has been significant speculation over who will replace him. Donald Trump has floated the idea of former New York City Mayor Rudy Giuliani as Attorney General. Rudy Giuliani was famously mocked by Joe Biden as saying only 3 things in a sentence: a noun, a verb, and 9/11. Giuliani has the highest in family values, especially when he announced that he was divorcing his wife at a press conference without informing her ahead of time, leaving New York tabloid reporters to break the news, and after having used taxpayer dollars to help him carry on an affair. Rudy Giuliani also made the excellent decision of putting New York City's emergency command bunker in the World Trade Center against the recommendation of security experts, and then lied about ordering firefighters to evacuate the North Tower on 9/11. Giuliani has since gone back to the private sector as a lawyer and attempted to cut a deal between the American and Turkish governments over the case of a client charged with laundering Iranian money behind the backs of prosecutors. Giuliani is also suspected of helping to orchestrate leaks about the FBI and Hillary Clinton email servers that pressured Jim Comey to write that disastrous letter that probably cost Clinton the election. All in all, a perfect fit for the Trump administration. Giuliani and Trump also have a special relationship, as this video will show.
A woman that looks like that has to have her own special scent.
Oh, thank you. Maybe you could tell me what you think of this scent.
I like that.
This may be the best of all. Oh, you dirty boy, you. Oh. Donald, I thought you were a gentleman.
You can't say I didn't try.
Our main topic today will be right-wing political pundits and media. The main reason your racist uncle's beliefs are strengthening despite the efforts of you and, well, the evolution of society. First up is Tomi Lahren, the right-wing commentator who used to work for The Blaze. You may remember that I confronted her at the D.C. airport. She has previously stated that Black Lives Matter is the new Klan. This can be answered relatively easily. Has Black Lives Matter engaged in a systemic attempt to intimidate, suppress, and even kill their opponents as the Klan has and continues to do? If you answered no, congratulations, you're sane and you don't see things that aren't there. If you answered yes, please return to whichever institution you escaped from. I'm sure the medical staff there is worried about your well-being. Tomi was fired from her job for not being anti-abortion. That is not fair. She should not be fired for being pro-choice. She should be fired because she's incredibly racist and sees things that aren't there. Also, I find it difficult to believe that this is somehow a matter of true principle. Conservatives are always for policies that hurt people until it impacts them or someone close to them. See Dan Quayle on abortion, Cheney on gay rights, Ronald Reagan on AIDS, Nancy Reagan on stem cell research, Jeb Bush on drug policy, etc., etc., etc. Lahren has since found work with a pro-Trump super PAC headed up by horny gasbag Newt Gingrich and Dracula's dumber and uglier brother, Rudy Giuliani. The so-called news source that Tomi Lahren was working for, The Blaze, was started by another right-winger, Glenn Beck. Blaze is also an accurate description of Glenn Beck's pants whenever he says, well, virtually anything. Glenn Beck is another frequent peddler of conspiracy theory nonsense, using heavily edited videos to help take down ACORN, the community organizing group that's fought for working Americans' issues like living wages, education, gun laws, and also registered millions of voters. Beck also frequently compared the legitimate elected government of Obama to the Nazis. Next is Sarah Palin, a great example of why the government outlawed lead paint. Sarah, of course, was John McCain's running mate in 2008, where she was stumped by such gotcha questions as, "What do you read?" Palin also quit her job as governor of Alaska after losing the election to Obama. Palin famously coined the phrase death panels, talking about the ACA leading to government rationing panels that would decide whether people get medical care. This nonsense led to enraged right-wingers shouting at Democratic lawmakers about the non-existent panels at town halls, with 30% who had heard the claim believing the panels should be real, and with 20% being unsure. This and other right-wing lies helped make the ACA politically toxic and lead to a disastrous Democratic defeat in the 2010 midterms. This lie has also had an unusually long shelf life, with this Republican official talking about the panels recently.
Here's the problems I have with the Affordable Health Care Act. Number one, there is a provision in there that anyone over the age of 74 has to go before what is effectively a death panel. Yes, they do. Yes, they do. It's in there, folks. You're wrong. Okay, children. All right, children.
I am 77 years old, and I think it's unconscionable for this politician to tell me that at 74, I will be facing death penalties. Wrong, 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 wrong.
I deal with end-of-life issues on a regular basis. These are heart-rending decisions, and I can tell you there is no such thing as a death panel at this time.
Sarah Palin also endorsed Tea Party candidate Christine O'Donnell in the GOP Senate primary in Delaware, beating former Governor Mike Castle. O'Donnell became a national embarrassment and went on to lose by a large margin, being forced to air an ad denying that she was a witch.
I'm not a witch. I'm nothing you've heard. I'm you. None of us are perfect, but none of us can be happy with what we see all around us. Politicians who think spending, trading favors, and backroom deals are the ways to stay in office. I'll go to Washington and do what you'd do. I'm Christine O'Donnell, and I approve this message. I'm you.
Just a tip, if you are a candidate for really anything, the words I and witch really should not, I repeat, should not appear in the same sentence. Sarah Palin also famously distributed a graphic with a crosshair on Congresswoman Gabby Gifford's district, and later an attempt was made on the Congresswoman's life, with 6 people killed in the attempt and the Congresswoman being severely injured. Next is Sean Hannity, Fox News' resident carnival barker, who was responsible for spreading ridiculous conspiracy theories about both President Obama and Secretary Clinton, including the infamous birthday claim. This racist lie helped propel Donald Trump to prominence as the birther-in-chief and unfairly delegitimize Obama in the eyes of Republicans, with 72% having doubts about Obama's place of birth. Hannity also gave Donald Trump constant favorable coverage during his presidential campaign, boosting his candidacy significantly. Sean Hannity recently has been promoting conspiracy theories about the murder of a DNC staffer, and pretty much sucking off Donald Trump on air every night. He has been consistently defending the Trump administration despite its, well, many failures. Next up is Bill O'Reilly, America's abusive and racist stepdad, who helped incite the murder of George Tiller, a nationally known abortion doctor. He repeatedly called Tiller a baby killer for his work performing late-term abortions. Tiller was later shot dead by a pro-life murderer at his church. Right-wing media, including O'Reilly, promoted false and heavily edited videos of Planned Parenthood employees in order to try to prove that they were, quote-unquote, selling baby parts. In response, another pro-life murderer attacked a Planned Parenthood in Colorado Springs, killing 3, including a police officer. Bill O'Reilly has since been fired from Fox News for sexual harassment after Roger Ailes also had to leave the network for similar reasons. But he did get a over $20 million golden parachute, so if you really want to do well in America, sexually harass women to make up racist nonsense, you do it on Fox News, and when you finally get fired, you'll get a giant golden parachute. Just a career tip, I guess. Another right-wing lie was the Pizzagate conspiracy theory, promoted most heavily by right-wing pundit, conspiracy theorist, and escaped mental patient Alex Jones. If you're not aware of who Alex Jones is, this clip should explain him well.
The frogs, the male frogs, think they're females now. That's not, when I say that about a frog, I'm not bashing the gay frog, but the chemical got in the water. There's so much of it in our water, it runs off and makes him. In fact, it actually changes them in reproduction. They end up being hermaphrodites. The stuff they're putting in the water and everything is not working on me, man. It's not working on me.
Eventually, another right-wing crazy showed up to the pizza parlor in question, firing a gun and quote-unquote investigating the allegations. While no one was hurt, this incident was yet another example of right-wing violence incited by lies from their conservative so-called media. Alex Jones has partially apologized for spreading this ridiculous nonsense, while trying to blame other media for spreading it. So much for the party of personal responsibility. Make no mistake, this apology was made only in order to try to dodge a potential lawsuit from the owner of the pizza restaurant in question. Alex Jones has also been a promoter of conspiracy theories about the Sandy Hook shootings, which is why NBC recently came under fire for airing an interview with Jones. Right-wing pundits in general have also had a prominent role in spreading lies about other issues. On taxes, for example, the right-wing media promoted the Tea Party anti-tax movement in 2009, saying that Americans were taxed too much. This was all despite the fact that the Obama stimulus bill cut taxes for most people, and that the fact that the taxes as a percentage of GDP was at its lowest level since 1950. Right-wing pundits have also promoted lies about voter fraud, despite the fact that voter fraud is a negligible problem, with total fraudulent votes being in double digits in multiple elections, with hundreds of millions of votes cast. These voter fraud lies have given an excuse for Republican politicians to suppress votes with voter ID laws. But perhaps the most pernicious problem created by the right is the destruction of real news. The right has consistently attacked nearly all media as liberal, causing their base to never even consider news sources that report, actual facts. This has allowed for the Republican base to live in its own insane alternative reality. To make matters worse, the current president seems to make his decisions based on what he sees from right-wing media, with examples including the firing of U.S. attorneys after Hannity aired a segment calling for the purge of deep state Obama appointees. And of course, the Obama wiretapping nonsense. The right-wing media has severely damaged our nation's democratic institutions, and it's brainwashed nearly 40% of the country into believing in a reality that does not exist. Needless to say, this is a problem, but what can we do about it? It is important that you get your news from reliable sources and encourage people you know to do the same. Support trustworthy media by donating or buying a subscription. On a policy level, we should push for enforcing public interest standards in broadcasting and also look at restoring the fairness doctrine. We must win the war against right-wing propaganda, or the problems that we face will only continue to magnify. Thank you for watching the program. Be sure to like, comment, and subscribe for more interesting content.